Hello, here I am. It's a wonderful day here right now. Here I am in Guwahati. I am Kaustabh Khaund, based out of Guwahati. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to be here on the show, to be able to connect and say hi, hello to everybody. So from my heart, I say hi to each and every one of you. And about me, let me begin by saying that, well, I belong to this place, Assam, Guwahati. I was born here, and after that, I spent my infancy, the first few years, in a sleepy little town those days in one end of Assam in the eastern part by the name of Dibrugarh. It's in the tea country, and that's where I grew up at my maternal grandfather's place, first few years. And after that, I came back to Guwahati, spent a few months maybe, and then again off to Calcutta. That was in the late 60s. And that's where the story began. Calcutta from the late 60s to the 90s. I learned to walk. I learned to play around. I learned to know things. My school.
Can you kindly, sorry to interject, can you
Yeah.
kindly speak louder because your voice is coming very feeble.
Okay. Let me begin. Let me start off again. Just give me a moment. তুমি কৰাই লোৱা 1 ঘণ্টা পিছত মই তোমাক ফোন কৰিম মই এটা মিটিঙত আছো 1 ঘণ্টা পিছত ফোন কৰিম হা Yeah, fine. So should I start off from the beginning?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Hi, hello everybody, the members and all around. Here I am, Kaustabh Khaund, based at Guwahati. I belong to this place, born here, grew up in Calcutta, back again here in Guwahati. So I would be talking about myself and who am I and how I went about my journey. For me, the journey is important and the journey never ends. So I'll be talking about myself and my journey through from here, from Guwahati, to a place where I spent my infancy, that is Dibrugarh, a small town in the easternmost fringes of Assam in the plantations, tea country. That's where I grew up. I wouldn't say grew up, my first few years at my maternal grandfather's place. And from there, got shipped to Calcutta. That's where I grew up. My first school, my college, beyond college, my first job, many more. And then again, much later, I moved back. I was relocated. I was working those days. I was relocated back to Guwahati. And since then, I just surrendered myself to the rhythm of the place that I belong to. That's about me. Well, as far as I'm concerned, as far as me and I'm concerned, well, I did my schooling in Calcutta at South Point. I have very fond memories. That's a place that shaped me up. I fondly recall my friends who are there very much with me, even now. And some of my teachers, most of them, they passed away, but they are the ones who whipped me, thrashed me, caned me to shape with all that love that went into it. This is something which is not there anymore in schools, but each and every lash I enjoyed because I felt there was a lot of love in it. That's how we grew up, and the school, it shaped me and took me to books, took me to finer things, pushed me towards sports, and shaped me up to take things ahead in life. And then, of course, beyond that, I moved ahead. I was a student of commerce, so carried on. And those were the days when I carried on to St. Xavier's, and 3 years from 6 in the morning to 9:40, we used to have our classes. And early morning, especially those winter mornings when we used to wake up and wait at Baliganj Fari. We were there in Baliganj place. We were residing there. So early morning at Baliganj Fari, we used to wait for the first tram to come out of Daryahat tram depot. So it used to be at 4:45 in the morning, and we would board the tram, and we would be on the footboard, um, on our left hand, and our left hand in between our fingers. So we all used to have our BD and cigarette, and we used to puff it all the way along up to that corner, up to that bend in Park Street, South Park Street, where the tram used to turn right towards Dharamtala, and we used to get on there and then walk that bit by the side of Park Street Cemetery up to the college. All along, we used to sing out loud, and then we used to enter our college at 6 in the morning in that cold. It was a lovely feeling, and that feeling is something I cherish. I cherish till now. And there was something about it. There was something about 840 lungs. That was the strength of our college then in BCom. 840 lungs, I mean, from every direction. Early morning at 6, coming on to a college to attend classes. Unthinkable. Unthinkable. It was a wonderful feat. 9:40, you are done. You have the entire day. So what do? Well, some of us used to pursue chartered accountancy, article clerks. Some of us used to be into market research, surveys. All of us, either or, I mean, mostly all of us, we used to be somewhere and get involved and do something, earn some money, not for anything, not for anything, just for that bit of smoke at the end of the day. Maybe steal a bottle of beer and whatever. I mean, that's how college used to be. And of course, we used to have very rich friends around. I mean, people from, I mean, friends from families that used to, that are still there, and they are very much there as big corporates. I wouldn't like to drop names, not now, not right at the moment. But then we used to have some, as our alumni, we used to have in our alumni, we used to have Aditya Birla, we used to have Lakshmi Mittal, we used to have the Goenkas, RPG. I'm talking about one of their sons was a year senior, and he used to dote on me. So we used to have all these people, and the other thing about having these people around and these friends around is that you are assured of a very good breakfast at Flurry's first thing in the morning. And we used to bunk our second class, not the first one, the second one, and we used to land up there in Flurry's and help ourselves to a breakfast, only to be chased by then uh, Father Joris. I can't forget him. He would come out, chase us all the way around Park Street, Victoria Memorial, wherever he'll pull us and get us back to our classes. Fun times. I can't imagine something like that happening today, the way we went about. That was college. Out of college, of course, college led me into a lot of things that I carried on from school, like debate, like music, like theater. Like, so it helped me in that, carried on. But I was not quite a commerce guy. I was never inclined, nor I had the attitude. I wouldn't say attitude. I would say, nor did I have the inclination ever to pursue a career in commerce. I was more into writing. I was more into the finer things. I was more into the arts. But then those were the days where, during our times, where it was somewhat very uh, kind of set that either you be an engineer, or you be a doctor, or you be a chartered accountant, or you be you do management. I mean, things were very clear cut for guys, mind you. Society was like that. The thinking was like that at every home, at each and every home. I mean, guys, they're not supposed to pursue the finer things like literature, history. They're not supposed to. Those are meant for the ladies. And it was very much there. I missed out on that because when I left school, I was the one I scored the highest in these subjects, rather not in the other ones. But I took to commerce because jing bang, everybody took to it. I felt that I'll be left out if I carried on. I passed out. I moved on. I moved on to further doing my MBA. It was not MBA, it was PGDM. Anyway, it was sponsored, so I went in, I did that. Wonderful, lovely, the best of place, and I am the best that you can think of. Great. But there was a disconnect. I still remember during our convocation, there was this gentleman by the name of Rusi Modi. Rusi Modi then was a doyen of Indian corporate. He was the chairman of Tata Steel. And he was there. He came on to our uh, hello. Yeah. Am I audible? I think something went wrong with the connectivity. Okay,
नहीं
fine.
नहीं it's
So
okay.
as I was saying, so I was there, and he came in during our convocation, and I still clearly remember he, he addressing all of us and saying that here I look at all these bright young minds looking at me. All I have to say is that I'm pretty sure that more than half of them, they would be moving out of this gate, and they'd be selling hair oils and cosmetics, maybe chocolates. And that's exactly what it used to be. Though it was wonderful getting to be groomed at the best of places, but somewhere I never felt that the purpose was met. I never felt so. The idea of a management graduate from the best of places is, as you step out, you create jobs. You create. That's what management is all. I mean, the basics, what we learn, you create, and then you go by the ethics, and then you sustain. Now these are the things which have come back now and they are happening, but then it was not there. We used to have guys from all across, from the best of colleges, from the best of technical institutes, IITs, 4 years doing something like mechanical electronics. They would come in and they would go out as marketing graduates, and they would be either in banking, finance, or marketing. Well, nothing against them, but somewhere the purpose got lost. So much as I have fond memories of the place and I love the place for grooming me up, but more than that, what shaped me was my neighborhood, the place where I grew up. So there was this place, you know, it's called Baligan's Place, and bang opposite to where we lived, where we stay, was the house of Jamini Roy. Jamini Roy was an artist. You can check him out. So we were bang opposite his place, and we grew up literally on his terrace. We used to play around. We used to be on his lap, and those were the days when all the literati artists, VIPs, celebrities, they would come in, and from let's say from the uh, the king of Nepal down to just about anyone, the prime minister, the governor, at length, they would come in and they would be there. So we were in awe at that early age. It was very tender, and we were in awe, and we would get to see all these people coming in, and we were very much there. That's how we felt, and that's how we saw people around us. But yes, what that has done to me is that today I get I never get overawed by any personality, high and mighty, whosoever, because I felt it much before in my infancy, in my childhood. I felt it and I got it firsthand, bang across. Then coming to school, our school was well, it was there. I think it's still listed. It was there in Guinness Book of World Records as the biggest ever school by going by the number of students. Uh, it was a wonderful thing. Imagine those days I'm talking about in the 70s, one classroom with different sections. We had about 6, 7, 8 sections. All put together, we were 540 students. It was unthinkable. The crowd, the number of students. And yet, teachers handpicked. We had Utpal Dutt as as a visiting teacher, professor, as a teacher. He would recite the quality of mercy, and we used to get. I still get goosebumps when I recall that. So I was shaped more by my school, by my neighborhood, and the people around me. And mind you, those were very turbulent times in Calcutta. It was it was the Naxalite movement at its peak. There used to be bomb blasts, there used to be fire, there used to be stabbing all around. And at that tender age, when you get to see things burning all around you, yet again, in between those moments, the best of creations happen then, as in the music, as in the songs, as in the movies. That was the best of time. It was the best of time and the worst of times, but then that's how it was. We carried on and we moved up. And then, as I said, moved up beyond school, onto college and beyond. But what a city does, to an individual, it works on your sensibilities, it works on your sensitivities. What I am today is because of the place where I grew up. It differs. You may grow up in another metro, you may grow up in Bombay, very much to you. You may grow up in Delhi, very much to you. But then a city, there is something about a city, it works on you. If I were to give an example, much after when I relocated, I keep going back and back. And I was on a bus from the airport to the city. So there was this gentleman who was not aware of, you know, he wanted to be at a place he was not aware of. So he just went up to the conductor and he said that, well, I need to go to this place. So the bus conductor stopped the bus, got him down, made him cross the street, and made him take up the right one on that route. He came back. All this while we were in the bus and we carried on, and there was no murmur from inside the bus that why we are waiting, because everybody knew that okay, fine, he has gone out to help someone out. That is what it is about the place, and that is what I carry even now in a different place, in a different city. I relocated, but this is something that I carry. I stop, I look around, I wait, and I'm thankful for all of this. Well, much more to that, much more to the place where I grew up. So let me carry on. So now, as we moved on from school, then in school, there I used to have a friend. He's still my friend, of course. So there was this friend, and my surname is, well, there's something interesting. Let me digress. Okay. There's something very interesting. As I said, I'm Kaustabh Khaund. Okay. It's actually Kaustabh. It's Sanskrit. Now, this was a name given to me by my grandmother, my nanny, Tida, as they say in Bengali. Now, when I was born, I was quite fair for an Indian. So my father, he named me June. It's not June, it's not John, it's Jone, Jone, right? Jone in Assamese is the moon. He named me thus. And it stayed with me, and most of my friends, and mostly in school and college and everywhere in Kolkata, they call me by this name. Anyway, my grandmother gave me a name called Stuf. Now it has a meaning. Kaustubh is a gem. It's a gem which is worn by, in our mythology, it is worn by Lord Vishnu. On his chest. So my grandmother had a purpose and a meaning to it. And it's very simple. My father's name is Vishnu. I was the eldest. That's how I got this name. And that's about it. That's about my name. So sometimes I'm in a kind of a conflict. Mostly people call me by Kaustubh, and my friends all around, they call me by the name my father gave. So I have both the names to my profile, to my ID. and I have put it up. Feel free. So to all of you, I would say feel free to call me by either. I'm fine. I'm comfortable. Okay. Uh, well, so going back, I graduated. I moved on, and then my first job was with Government of India Tourism, ITDC. Those days, they were looking for people to conduct foreign tourist survey. It was a project of over 14 months, which extended to 18 months across Eastern India. So we were freshers. Was one of them. I had a team, and we moved across. We covered Eastern India, and Eastern India was defined by Banaras to the west and the entire east and northeast. So it was endless traveling and data as collected. Those were the days when you never had a palm top or a laptop. So it was everything on pen and paper and sheets. So we were working on that, traveling and sleeping out of, living out of our suitcases, not suitcases, and little better than a briefcase. And we were moving around, but it was enjoyable. It was fun. We were paid well. We were looked after well. We went about, and that was a time I said, "Wow, what a way to go about!" I'm really enjoying it. Doesn't matter if some of my friends are making no money. I don't care, but I'm enjoying it. So moving about, talking to people at large, different sections, mostly foreigners, and that gave me a clear idea about the way the world looks at India, the way all of them, the way uh, Australians, they used to come in, and mostly they used to be into trekking onto the high hills. People from Europe, the Brits, the Americans. Uh, Americans, as usual, they were very clear and blunt. They never used to mince word. They would give it back to you, clear, simple. Then the Australians, ever engaging, they would love to carry on with the conversation. So with the Europeans and the Brits, ever clipped, fine, fine tuned and clipped. I still remember I asked one gentleman that how was it traveling through our country and how was the experience. I still remember that, and he said after a pause, he said, "Well," and with a smile from the corner of his lips, which was very typical. And he said, "Well, I accept your confidence." I asked him, "Should I take it as a compliment?" It's up to you. So that's about them. I wouldn't like to expand on that. So, but over and above, it was a wonderful experience. While this was going on, we were actually moving around airports, at places of entries, places of exit, at the places where they used to stay in luxury hotels to places. So during this course, I came in touch with quite a number of people in the industry. So one of them wrote me in when the project was over. I thought I would continue, but then some of them they came and wrote me in, and I was there with the Oberoi's in marketing for about 6 months. That was a wonderful period. I learned how you need to the basics, how you need to sit and work on your table without making a noise. The entire office used to be pin drop silence, and we used to work quiet. And then at one point, we used to get up, move out, have our coffee, have our smoke, have our meal, come back. But during that stint in Oberoi, what enabled me was I had a free access to the kitchens and food being my first love. Now, coming to food, you see, I'm not talking in sequence. I would be overlapping, you know. So don't mind me on that. So coming to food, food has ever been my first love. Now, on that, I blame my grandmother, my nanny, firstly, and then my mother, because they were fantastic. I mean, my mother is still there, but my grandma, I mean, she was fantastic, way beyond her times, every way, in style, in the way she used to go about doing food. She has been one of my biggest ever influence. I still remember there was this small incident. Those days, it used to be thatched houses in Dibrugarh, the place where I was growing up. So my granny, she was doing something on the wok, the kadhai. She was doing aloo, simple. She was frying aloo. Looking at her, I asked her. We call our grandmoms Aita. Like in Bengali, it's Dida. We call Aita. So I call her. And I used to call her Aita Ma. Okay, I call her Aita Ma. Say if you boil the alus and then fry them, will the taste be different? She looked back at me and said, my God, this guy, this guy is going to do something about food. I mean, those were the influences when I used to see her, you know, how she used to go about the cuts in the vegetables and the way she used to treat it and the way she used to go about, you know, doing a curry, doing a dal, doing something very simple. Because the sophistication in food lies in its simplicity and the way she would do it. Some little herbs, some a squeeze of lemon, small little things, and that really got into me and shaped me up. It just got into my blood. And much later, as it happened, as life was scripted out for me, I happened to land up in Calcutta, a city with discerning taste when it comes to food, almost on the verge of being, I don't want to use that word, but then again, it's a very harsh word, but then almost on the verge of being racist when it comes to food. In fact, I am so. So, I mean, food, everything was centered around that. And that's how we grew up. And then much later, so as I was saying, I was there in Oberoi. It gave me a free access to the kitchens, and I used to go and I used to look at how they would be going about food. And then I used to come back home. I used to try it out, and I used to do it. And my friends would say that, "What the hell are you doing? I mean, you should get into this. I mean, you should be doing this." But then those days, it was not a great idea of getting into all of this. I said maybe someday, sometime. Things moved on. While there, at that point in time, something interesting happened. A senior from my college, who was then working in this company called HCL. It was known as Hindustan Computers then. It's HCL. Nowadays, it's known as HCL Infotech or Technologies or whatever. It's a corporate based out of Noida. They had their offices in Baliganj in this place called Jautala, which is ahead of the Calcutta Cricket Club, little ahead. And this senior from me in college, he lands up there in at the Oberoi's and he meets me up and he says, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "I'm here in marketing." Yeah, what the hell? You shouldn't be wasting yourself here. You come with me. I said, where to? I'm in HCL, you come. HCL is about high flyers, it's about high tech, it's about computers, and computers in the 80s, mind you, when the desktop was yet to arrive. So it was something really intriguing, if I may use the word. So you should be joining that. I mean, don't rub your back out here. You come on, I'll pull you out. I said, I'm enjoying my job. I'm enjoying my work because it is very creative. So I used to like it because I was given the task of doing stories, doing, captions and and copies, and I used to love it. I said, forget about it. I mean, you should be into some other place. I mean, it's all about. He carried on, and he pushed me, and he got into me, and he dragged me out. He literally pulled me out of the place, and he took me across to HCL. I joined HCL, and then it was a new chapter altogether. It was like a U-turn. I've seen my friends, I've seen my batchmates, I've seen them selling Maggie those days, selling chocolates, selling whatnot. I've seen them in banks operating, okay, Bank of America and places, okay. I've seen them working in places, but this was something new altogether during that period. It was all about selling a concept, a technology, a box to people who were literally scared to know what a computer is. I mean, what can it do? It was something totally, I mean, weird. I mean, the whole idea of selling a concept. Forget about the institutions. I'm not talking about those days. We used to have the market divided. I'm not talking about the educational institutes. I'm not talking about the research institutes. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the rest of it, the corporate, even at the corporate. They were so tuned to the way things were as it used to move from desk to desk, as in the files. So this whole idea of a system coming in place and replacing those files and and making you move fast was totally unknown to them. I mean, they were yet to get into the tune of things. So it was a huge challenge. And the worst thing that happened, worst and the best, of course, that happened was when we were let loose out on the street. And my senior would say, there was this place called Elgin Road. I mean, it's still there, Elgin Road in Bhawanipur in Calcutta. And that a portion of Elgin Road used to be the automobile dealers, localized automobile dealers segment, a huge section. And that segment used to be manned and used to be mostly uh, used to be uh, owned and driven by by Punjabis, mostly Sikhs, and they were the ones who used to dominate, who used to run the show out there. Burly Sikhs, and I was given the task to map that market and pick up a conversation and give them the idea that how a computer is going to help them into their accounting, into their inventory, and how that is going to save money, how that is going to help them increase in their productivity, in income, and everything. So it was a concept. I had to go about selling. And I said, why me? Why are you putting me across to those guys? Incidentally, it so happened that I could converse those days. I could converse in Punjabi as fluent as in Bengali. Now, of course, the practice is gone. The smattering remains. But then, uh, I said that is a language. Go do it, handle it. finish off and come back. So I used to go about every morning, meet up with these gentlemen. I still remember. Finally, I could persuade someone to, place an order, and I came back with it. I was thrilled. I got an order, and even the office, my seniors, they said, "Fantastic, you have broken in." And so now, we can one after the other. So you just follow up on that. Next morning, I went back to his neighbor, the shop just next to him. So there was this burly gentleman across the counter. So I pulled up a chair. So I greeted him and I said, "How's the day? How's it? So have you decided whether you're going to go for it?" He looked up at me and very briskly, bang on my face, he said, referring to his neighbor, the shop next door, he said, "ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੋ ਢਾਈ ਚੱਕੇ ਵਾਲੀ DC, ਮੈਨੂੰ तीन ਚੱਕੇ ਵਾਲੀ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ." What he was referring to is, those days there used to be floppy drives. There used to be 2 floppy drives in a system. That's what the other guy got it. He placed an order and he got it. Okay. Now our man says, "You gave him with 2 floppy drives, but I want with another one. Manu teen chahiye." I said, "Okay." I go back to office. I said, "Boss, this is the problem. Now you sort it out." I said, "This is ridiculous." I said, "I don't know. You sort it out. The order is there. Now you sort it out." So that's how it used to be. I mean, wonderful. Then I recall incidents. Well, that was one part of it. That's what we used to call them, first-time users, FTU, and that's how we used to identify that particular segment. Anyway, things moved on and learned the hard way. And then one fine day, that was in the autumn of '89, suddenly my senior calls me up and says that, "Well, pack up, you need to go to Guwahati." I said, "Why?" He said, "No, you need to take charge of things there in Guwahati." I said, "I never grew up there. I don't know the place, the terrain, the market." He said, "But you know the language. That's about all. Just spend 6 months, come back. Just get things in order." Mind you, that was during the period when Ulfa, if you can recall, was at its peak. Extremism was at its peak out here in Assam. People were getting killed, extortions were happening, kidnappings were happening. It was horrible. In the tea sector, where HCL had a lot of stakes because all the plantations, they had HCL systems. They had huge stakes in the oil sector, that is Oil India, Indian Oil, in the drilling, in the refineries, huge stakes, and it was getting affected. They wanted a local guy. There was no local guy. So there was this local guy from Calcutta who speaks Assamese, who's an Assamese, but not a local guy, actually, technically. But then he's the one, and so I was the one, and I was planted here. So I came. 7 o'clock in the evening, it used to be like curfew. And in fact, on the day I landed up here in Guwahati in the evening at about 5:30. That was. There were gunshots just behind our office, and one one senior businessman from one community, I do not wish to name, from one a community, was shot dead. Okay. So there was huge exodus of people, especially from the business community, people moving out their capital, moving out, men, I mean, whatever, men, material, whatever. It was chaos. 7 o'clock, it used to be pitch dark, curfew, no, nothing. That was the time I moved around all around Northeast, every nook and corner, right up to the farthest east, high up on the mountains, through everywhere, all alone, all by myself. All for business, of course. It was paid for. I had a car and a chauffeur at my disposal, but then I was all alone, all by myself, moving around and touching all those places. Those are small dots in a map if you look at it. And getting to know the place. And that was a wonderful experience. That led me gradually into what I am today. I'll come to that. So things moved on. I made up for the office. I helped the office grow. I sustained an area office, became a regional office. It grew into a regional office. Things happened. That was the juncture when, at that juncture, my senior said, okay, fine, good job. You're being promoted. So now you stick to that. You've been transferred out of Calcutta to Guwahati. Then I had no choice at that point in time. My only thing was I had to pull out my parents who were there in Calcutta. So I pulled them out, got them back here in Guwahati, and finally we decided to settle. That was in the mid 90s. So we settled, relocated, and settled here. Carried on. Work moved on. As I said, our office, our company, this became a regional office. But then I outgrew the office. I had to move out. I had two choices. Either I move out or I stay back. Now, IT is such, it's all about, it's all about moving. It's all about speed. So my choice was either I move out totally or I simply forget about it, stay back and do what I wish to do. It was harsh. It was hard. I decided to stay back. It was not to the liking of my colleagues, my seniors, to the company. They lured, they had a lot of, there were baits, but I said, no, I'm going to stay back and decided to. During that brief period, I did a bit of consulting. I wasn't married. I was the last one. My batchmates, my friends, they were all much married with their kids, even my cousins all around. I was the last one. Then finally, I had to take a call on that as well. So never imagined that I would be here, settling down here and get married. But I ended up doing that. So fine, went ahead with it. And then at that juncture, I took a call. I said, enough of technology, enough of marketing, enough of things. Now I'm going to do things the way I like it, the way what I love doing. And incidentally, it so happened that the lady to whom I got married happens to share the same interests as on food. She is just wonderful on that, beyond words. I said, this is the best thing that can happen. So we got together, we got into food. We got into food, we were doing food, we were serving food, we were catering at places, at corporates, at events, at clubs, at resorts. We got noticed. One leads to the other. I got noticed by someone real big. He got me into lot many things about handling guests, about handling celebrities, VVIPs and whatnot, doing food, taking them around. That's how I moved on and I got into food and travel. Today, very much into food and into travel. I curate tours, treks, trails across Northeast. and all by reference. It's not open to all in the sense that I don't have a website. I don't want to draw unwanted attention. I don't want that. I do it only by reference, customized, curated to your taste. It could be about cuisine and culture. It could be about a culinary tour. It could be about flora and fauna, about the surroundings, about the environment, about the wildlife. It could be about adventure. It could be about treks in the high hills. It could be about river rafting. It could be about river journeys. Just name it. And that's what I do, and that's what I love doing. And of course, food ever at places. I cook, and I call it the food from the Eastern Himalayas. We belong to the Eastern Himalayas. Now, Northeast, when people say Northeast, in a way I get offended. I get offended not for any other reason. Yes, we are from the northeastern part of the country, but don't label us as Northeast. Oh, Northeast. No, we are from the northeastern part of the country, as anyone is from the east, west, north, south. Don't stereotype. We belong to the region, what I call as the Eastern Himalayas. We belong to the region of the Eastern Himalayas. Incidentally, the Eastern Himalayas are in the northeastern part of the country. So northeastern part of the country is, if you start from Sikkim, we are 8 states: Sikkim, Arunachal, Assam, Meghalaya, Manipur, Nagaland, Mizoram, Tripura. So we are 8 states, each with a distinct identity, each with a distinct culture, each with a distinct aroma and flavor and tune to themselves. Each wonderful, each exquisite on its own. You can't club it together and say Northeast. No, it's not done. We are from the Eastern Himalayas. And the food that I'm talking about, the food that we do, well, there is nothing called Arunachali food. No, it's not like Chinese, okay, that you say Chinese food. Well, there is nothing called Arunachali food. For that matter, there's nothing called Assamese food. I mean, there are so many tribes, so many communities, sub-tribes. Every 40 kilometers, the environment changes. The shades of green, they change. The aroma changes. The flavors change. The hues, the colors, the drapes, they change. The stripes, they change. So you can't club it together under one name. You can't do that. Though this is happening, but this is not done. There is much more to it. So today, where I am based at Guwahati. I am into curating tours, as I said. I receive people as they arrive, take them around, let them experience off the beaten track, and see them off. In the process, I make them, you know, as I said, well, let me repeat, I make them experience the food, the culture, the climate, the season, and everything that you get to see. The stories, most important, the stories, be it from the past, be it as it exists, be it what you get to see, is the stories. That's exactly what I do. Now, coming to treks, well, trekking trekking is a wonderful hobby, is a wonderful thing that one can indulge in. It could be from light, moderate to steep, very steep. Now here in Northeast, it happens from moderate to the hard ones, the steep ones. A moderate trek, as I would be taking on the day after. So these are treks across the state of Meghalaya. They would be around heights of 3,000 to 5,000 feet, very much doable, even at my age. But of course, I happen to go much beyond that. That's a separate issue. But I'm talking about people, let's say, even from their mid 40s to their mid 50s, it's absolutely comfortable. For your information, well, I'm into my 60s, well into my 60s, and I'm fit and fine on that. But these are treks meant for that. And there are some wonderful treks. Like there is this one called a rainbow trek, which starts from Cherrapunji. You go down 1,400 steps with a stick, and you climb up 1,700 steps, and you end up in a place called the double-decker route bridge. Beyond that, you go another 2 hours. You end up at a place called the Rainbow Falls. That's the end of the trek. You come back by the same route. These are very moderate, rejuvenating. There are some wonderful trails across Meghalaya. You can do a trail. You can check it out. You can do a trail called David Scott. If you wish to, you can call me up anytime. It's a 4-day thing through the hills, the valleys, to the forests. You get to see life as it exists in the villages. Wonderful. And if you wish to go beyond that, come over to Arunachal. There is this wonderful trek known as the Brokpa. The Brokpa Trail. Brokpas are the shepherds. They are the herders of yak. Now, yak, what they do is during summers, during winters, the yaks, they come down onto the valley. And as summer approaches, they move up to the high hills. It's a 7-day trek. You go along with the herders, you stay with them, you eat their food, you live with them on their camps. It goes through passes, through lakes at heights of 12 to 14,000 to 16,000. It's tough, but it's amazing. It takes you through places never ever you could have seen before. Then there's another wonderful trek known as Bailey's Trail. That is through the high mountains around 18 to 20. You get to see the highest peak of the Eastern Himalayas, that is Mount Kangto, that is at 7,900 meters, is the highest in this region, in the western part of Arunachal. You get to see the entire massif. It's mind-boggling. It starts in October, and it ends in April. Though people do take it in May, but there is an element of risk in May. So it ends in April. That's the best time to go for it. You go through wonderful passes. You go through wonderful, glacial lakes. So when in Meghalaya, when you are on a trek, you are as comfortable as I look with my cap, with my tea. Maybe I would need a jacket at the most. And well, I would say there are many gears. I don't go by that. I'm not the conventional ones. I have my own style. I believe in that. Style is the essence. Style defines you. Style defines the everything about you, your thought process, your intention, your attitude, the way you go about. Everything boils down to your style. Be true to your style. Have a style of your own. Be true to that. And my style is this. I'm always comfortable in my jeans. and the kind of shoes. I swear by Adidas. So this is it. And these are my jeans. I'm comfortable under any weather, under any harsh climate. That's what I do. And as regards in the high hills, when I move out, when I move ahead, well, uh, I have to shed this. That's the real me, shave clean. And this is well, this is what I help myself with. This from the frontiers, and this is the best headgear that carries you all the way through those high hills. Snow, hailstorm, nothing to beat this, the best. And the best thing is how I drape myself, how I cover myself up. Well, just hold on. There's the best of, well, there's the best, I'll show you, wait. This, this is my lifesaver. And this is courtesy the Indian Army. While I was during one of my treks up on the hills, and there's a huge army concentration there. So I picked this one. In fact, they asked me to. It's a wind cheater on the outside, and it's doubly padded from inside. It's warm like hell. It has a hood, and these are the simple gears. And of course, you need a good pair of shoes. As I said, I swear by Adidas, and you need a good stake. But I don't go for those fancy ones. I go for a strong, solid bamboo stick. Whether, I mean, weather tuned, strong, solid bamboo stick. That's the best. And of course, I I carry. I'm very fond of, in a way, I'm very fond of knives and firearms and whatnot. Let me not go into that. That's another story. But yes, I do carry a pair of knives, one small and one big enough. In a trek, these are the essentials. Rest of the paraphernalia, as in glasses, sunscreen. Yes, you need to protect yourself. A few medicines, primarily lots of vitamins to chewable ones, and lozenges and vitamins to chew upon. That's about it. But otherwise, don't get intrigued by what to carry as on a trek, as to what your gear should be. Nothing. Very good shoes, comfortable shoes, a comfortable trouser, warm enough, warm socks, a good cap, and a nice jacket. And all you need to do is you need to uh, replenish your energy. You need to off and on. You need to do that. So keep sipping. And the best thing about it is when you are up on the hills, you would be amazed about the kind of berries that you get to see. You name it, all the fancy ones. You simply pluck and you move on. One tiny small berry. I mean, these are things that I'll share ahead. I mean, I have, as I said, I have a lot of pictures, which I would upload, and I will share it in the group, and you get to see as how I go about. And best is next time around, and it's going to be very soon as I go on a trek. I'll do a live thing, and so that you actually get to see how it is live. So I'll cover that and I'll go live, and I think that will be something you would love it, you would enjoy it. So I won't know who all are watching this, who all are there with me right now. I have said as much about me from the place where I was born, that is Guwahati. Spent my initial years in Dibrugarh, in our tea town. Went off to Kolkata, where I grew up. Ended up, grew up, and went on with my first job. And as I said, grew up means in school, college, and later in my PG, with all good things and with all things that shaped me up, with right from well, right from bunking classes in school to my first ditch uh, from the one whom I loved, then to all those ones who I ended up loving but not ending up marrying, of course. Then later on, and in college and beyond, and all those pot of grass that we used to enjoy in college. Later on, and career, and that's how I got into. Came back here, got to know my place, got to know the place where I belong, where I grew up, and I'm sorry, where I was born and where I belong. Got to know the place, got to know each and every nook and corner, and I found that, well, this is the most fantastic thing that has ever happened to me. So during all these years, I won some, I lost some, no regrets. Today, the place where I'm in, I'm extremely contented and happy, whichever way one looks at it. End of the day, everything lies within you. Your happiness is yours, the one you invite. Hell is something you invite upon yourself. Happiness is the same. It is something that you invite upon yourself. So, my take is this: wherever you are, under any climate, any season, any place, look within, invite that happiness, look at yourself, and invite that happiness, which actually matters at the end of the day. Nothing else matters at all. If you are happy, people around you are happy. If you are happy, you don't hurt anyone. If you are happy, you are good to all. What matters is that you need to be good. You need to be good to everyone and all. So I would take your leave on this. I'll come back again with much more stories. This was just a brief introduction about who the hell I am and what the hell I do about myself. So